Today in this show, I'm going to be answering the question, what is the new X-Men? So there are actually two new X-Men. New X-Men written by Grant Morrison, and then the new X-Men which initially started out as New X-Men Academy X. They are both two different runs in comics. For the sake of this video, we're going to be focusing on New X-Men Academy X, but we will briefly touch on Grant Morrison's run on the new X-Men. So X-Men sales were at an all-time low, and Marvel really wanted to regain X-Men's former glory. So they brought in this writer called Grant Morrison. He wasn't really known for doing superhero books, but back in the late 80s and early 90s, he wrote something called the Doom Patrol that really had the same themes as what Marvel was going for with the X-Men. And Grant Morrison had also written something very recently called The Invisibles, which was critically acclaimed. So they knew if they had Grant Morrison on the X-Men, people would lose their minds. And they did when he agreed to do it. Grant Morrison didn't really want to write the X-Men, but Marvel didn't want to give him his own run just yet, so they gave him the option of rebranding the title. So the X-Men became the New X-Men. Grant Morrison wrote from issues 114 to 154. First off, he retconned Jean Grey's retcon, thus reconnecting her to the Phoenix Force. Secondly, he created Kitty Beast, because Beast used to be like an ape-type creature, but now he was a kitty-type creature, and everyone prefers Kitty Beast. Thirdly, he brought over Emma Frost from the Hellfire Club to the X-Men, thus transitioning her from a bad guy to a good guy. I think everyone already knew this about Emma Frost, but no one's really sure when that seems to have happened, but it happened in Grant Morrison's run on the X-Men. And finally, and most importantly, he changed the Xavier Academy from a training ground for the X-Men to a fully fleshed out school with a couple of hundred students for mutants. It's this change that set the stage for New X-Men Academy X. So the New X-Men ran from 2004 till 2008 and initially focuses on the rivalry between two training squads, the New Mutants and the Hellions. The New Mutants were led by Danielle Moonstar, and the Hellions were led by Emma Frost. There were other squads about as well, obviously, but by the time we started looking at other characters and other squads, decimation happened and only 27 students retained their powers, so the squads were dissolved. The series would eventually be cancelled, not due to sales though, it was due to the direction that the X-Men went in, and this title just didn't go with the story that people were trying to tell, so there was no point in keeping it going. To take its place, there was a book called The Young X-Men, which was absolutely terrible, and please don't read it whatever you do. What you need to know is that most writers ignore this book ever even happened. In continuity though, the new X-Men continued on as a team, but it was never really explained who was in that team specifically. All we know for sure is they were eventually led by Rogue. The new X-Men book would finally get its true replacement when the X-Men would split up once again, and some would stay on Utopia with Cyclops and others would go to Westchester with Wolverine. And this set the stage for Wolverine and the X-Men, the true replacement for the new X-Men. Wolverine and the X-Men didn't really focus on the new X-Men as a team, but it had that tonality. It showed young mutants using their powers and having fun, which was the point of the new X-Men, and really needs its place in the Marvel Universe, and people constantly forget that. And when there isn't a book like that, the X-Men kind of drown out. I love the new X-Men, and if Marvel ever decide to hire me, it's the one book I'm going to turn around and say to them, can I please write this book? This is an important book for me, and I just have so many ideas for it, and I will pitch the hell out of it to them. That being said, I want to see a book with the characters from the new X-Men again that's not written by me. A book where we just kind of check up on them. Check up on Pixie and see what she's doing at the moment. Check up on Elixir and make sure he's still alive. Just that kind of thing, because these characters were so important to me, and they're all just sort of split off from each other at the moment, and it's kind of sad, and I just want to make sure that they're all okay. Just like making sure your friends are all okay.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. So what do you think of the new X-Men? Please let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.